Infant Jill is not remaining still enough on the scale to get a good weight rating, so the healthcare professional has decided to have Jill's mom hold Jill while obtaining the weight. Mom and Jill go onto the scale together, and the scale reads 195.3 pounds. However, the healthcare professional is not done yet. Next, she asks Jill's mom to get back on the scale by herself. According to the scale, Jill's mom weighs 188.28 pounds. The last step is to subtract Jill's mom's weight from the weight of both Jill and mom. The remaining number will be what the baby Jill weighs. So, when subtracting decimals, we must line up the decimal place values. This is the same process we use in subtracting whole numbers and in both adding whole numbers and decimals. It is important to note that we may need additional zeros so we can ensure that the numbers are lined up. Once again, we will place the decimal in the answer by bringing it straight down. So, we start by writing down the first weight of both Jill and her mother of 195.3. Then the second number of 188.28 below it. Ensuring that we're lining up both the place values and decimals. As you can see, there is a hole. We need to place a 0 in that hole to ensure that our number has lined up properly. This is directly above the 8. We now do a 0 minus 8, which is not possible. This means we need to borrow. So we're going to cross out the 3, make it a 2, and put the 1 to make it a whole 10. So now we have 10 minus 8, which is 2. Then 2 minus 2 is 0. We pull down that decimal. And then now we have 5 minus 8, which is also not possible. So we need to borrow from the 9. So make that into an 8, and then we put a whole 1 there. So now we have 15. So 15 minus 8 is 7. 8 minus 8 is 0. And 1 minus 1 is also 0. So the baby weighs 7 pounds but 7.02 pounds. So this is what you can put down in your charts. So now in example 2, we're going to subtract two numbers. So we have 7.03, and we're going to go minus 1.052. Once again, we have a hole, so we're going to put a 0 there. Now we can start on the right hand side, and we're going to start subtracting. So 0 minus 2 is not something we can do, so we will need to borrow from the 3. So the 3 becomes a 2, and we put a 10, or we make it a 0 into a 10. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 2 minus 5 is not something we can do, so now we need to borrow. Now the next one next to it is actually a 0, so we cannot borrow from 0. So we have to go all the way back to the 7, which is the next number, and make that into a 6, and then put the whole 1 into the tens place. So this now becomes 10, but because we need to borrow for the 2, we need to borrow again from the tens place. So we're going to make that a 9 actually, and then put that into 12. So now we have 12 minus 5, which that's 7. 9 minus 0 is 9. And then 6 minus 1 is 5. So our answer is 5.978. So when subtracting decimals, remember, you must line up the decimals and place values. Then you may need to add additional zeros and bring down the decimal straight down in the answer. Now that we've covered the basics about subtracting decimals, let's apply it to what we've discussed before in the non-traditional weight measurement scenarios. So here's example 3. Kevin is in a wheelchair and he needs to have his accurate weight recorded. The healthcare professional asks Kevin to wheel onto the scale. The scale reads 308.25 pounds. The healthcare professional reads the weight of the wheelchair on the wheelchair's label, which it reads 56.1. What does Kevin weigh? So to answer this, we need to first write down the total weight of Kevin. So that is the 308 with the wheelchair. Then we're going to subtract what the wheelchair's weight is, which is 56.1. So we lined up the decimals and all the place values. And so now we can begin to subtract. So we begin with on the right hand side, which is the 5 minus 0, which is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. We bring down that decimal, and then we can go to the ones place. 8 minus 6 is 2. 0 minus 5, which can't be done, so we need to borrow from the 3. So we make that into a 2, and we add the 1. So 10 minus 5 is now 5, and then we can just bring down that 2. So we have an answer of Kevin weighing 252 pounds, 0.15.